you need to go.
Yeah, please do.
Sign, but there are people here who are connected.
Okay. I have an ID.
She's like, hi, I've always heard about it. I read it
That's an interesting kind of concept. Human supremacy. So are we human supremacists?
I think we are.
Oh, like white supremacists?
Let's think about we dominate other species. I mean, you laugh, but why laugh?
So you don't want us to dominate or something?
No, I don't think we should dominate other animals.
So you think we have to be like animals?
We are animals.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So we're not different.
So, but what's the point? Resist human supremacy, meaning.
Don't subjugate animals. Don't use them, eat them, wear them, treat them like they're lower, pathetic. Yeah.
I see. So you think the animals are on the same level as humans?
They're very different than us. They think differently. They act differently. But we need to.
I wouldn't say as the same level. I think all you have to do is respect them.
Respect them. No, I agree. Sure, of course.
Respect them, not enough to like,
Exploit them. But what do you mean? I mean, there was a lady over there. She was giving away flyers, and the flyer was about this drag show or something like that. And I asked her if the animals should be on stage, and it seems like I offended her with this question. She said, "No, it's going to be exploitation." So using animals on stage.
There's no animals on stage in the drag show.
Right. But would you consider that as exploitation? Just putting animals, training animals and putting them on stage? I was kind of confused.
Using them for things we don't need in general, I would say yes, that is exploitation.
Do we need entertainment?
We don't need entertainment, but we have other forms of entertainment that don't use animals. Like now we have circuses that are just humans doing acrobatic tricks. Instead of, say, before they had circuses with tigers and lions and stuff.
But let's say, you have pets. I mean, I have pets, for instance, and I don't like pets like doing acrobatic tricks. And actually, I'm happy if they could do it. I wish they did, actually. But would you call that exploitation, where the animals do some acrobatics? Do you have any pets, by the way?
I have 6 animals, and
wow.
most of them are rescues. And the way I see that is, they're born into this world, and we have to do the best we can for them.
Of course, I agree. Yeah.
Like it's not like, say, a wild animal where we can put them back in the wild. We should just take care of them.
No, I agree. But you're talking about pets.
Yeah.
When you say, animal world, that includes
I don't think
everything.
we should breed more of them. I think we should just keep the animals we already have that are born as like refugees in our homes and take the best care of them.
Wait. You said we should not breed more of them? That's what you said?
No, like they don't. It's not fair to them because we just breed them for entertainment. Like, for example, dog breeds are all very sick because they're inbred for our entertainment.
But then how will they multiply, be fruitful and multiply then?
I mean, animals
they
reproduce
don't
naturally in the wild.
That's what I mean. But if they're not in the wild, what's going to happen to them?
I mean, maybe we don't need domesticated animals for our pleasures.
I mean, currently
we don't? Okay.
Euthanize 1 million dog pets in the U.S. alone. And we're breeding more into existence. So we're buying animals from breeders, and in return, the dogs that are in shelters, they're dying of euthanization because we're buying from this breed.
So you're against like selling pets, hamsters, like birds, all those.
Selling any life.
Selling any life.
If you wanted to like sell a toy, that's fine. But like animals aren't toys. They're not like objects. They're living beings just like you and I.
Well, of course, yeah.
We should be putting them on like shelves, saying, giving them a price just for us to use.
But let's say, if you look at Hollywood, for instance, they provide us with a lot of entertainment, and they're paid like, oh my God, through the nose. They're like so wealthy, some of the wealthiest people in the world. And the only reason they get this money is because we're watching them, and well, smartly or not so smartly, we're willing to pay for what they make, what they perform. Now, if we treat animals in the same way, meaning we provide them with like everything, I mean, they'll have their lives, they have a better life than, well, you can see whether they consent or not. If you pet a cat and it purrs, I'm sure that a cat tells you that a cat really is enjoying it, right?
Yeah. Animals aren't voiceless, they do communicate with us.
Okay, so you agree that animals can actually, in some way, so in other, express their feelings, or whatever those feelings are. So if, let's say, they perform on stage, and as a reward, we provide them, like, the best life possible, like their own condo, for instance.
That's kind of a hypothetical, because that's normally not what happens.
No, but actually it does happen. The pets, Barbara Streisand, for instance, she traveled to Europe for performance, and her favorite pet, was actually traveling first class on the plane. So, I mean, would you consider that as exploitation?
I mean, I don't know that animal or that life, so I generally would say no, but of course everything is subjective and depends on, like, if I knew more about the situation. Yeah, because I don't keep up with pop culture.
No,
I don't even know that person.
No, I understand, but just in terms of common sense, if an animal is feeling great, let's say being on stage, why would you call it exploitation? I'm just confused about that part.
I mean, generally from what I've seen, like, my dog used to be involved in, like, trick shows, and he doesn't like it. Like, he would rather be outside and doing other things. And, like, is he miserable doing trick shows and stuff like that? No, not really. But it's all about, like, what is best for him. And are we really considering and respecting animals and doing what's best for them if we're using them for our show?
And do we have to?
And we don't have to.
We don't have to.
Well, but then see, the problem is where do you draw the line? Do we have to watch movies, yes or no? Do we have to live in air conditioning houses? Well, yes or no? I mean, where do you draw the line? What we have to, what we don't have to?
I mean, you could say the same thing with human rights, like with capitalism, which is exploiting and killing millions of people and doing horrible things. You could say the
capitalism.
I think.
So you think so? That's what capitalism does to people? Seriously?
I mean, that's another. We could go down that route, but that would take another hour.
Yeah. Well, the reason that surprises me is because I actually came from a socialist, so-called socialist country, the USSR. That's where my accent is coming from.
I think it's just oppressive systems in general.
I think it's different because we're living in a democracy.
Well, in this country, strictly speaking, we do not have democracy. Democracy, I'm not sure is a good thing. We have a different type of system. I'm sure that you learned at school what type of system we have over here, right? Do you remember what it's called?
No.
Civics 101.
What is it?
It starts with the letter R. Exactly. High five. And you know the fundamental difference between a democracy and a republic, and why democracy is not, well, not really so great sometimes versus a republic. Do you know the difference between the two?
Somewhat. I mean, like, like Bernie and then Trump. I'm not into politics.
But it's very important. The politics are very important. I mean, imagine if we had, let's say, Hillary as our president versus Trump. Or imagine if we had, I don't know, Obama versus whomever, right? But the starkest probably difference is, I like this as an example, is Weimar Germany. I mean, you know that the Germany Weimar Republic was a democracy, like you said. So Hitler got, guess what, elected. And guess what Hitler did?
Kind of went down a different path. I don't know where we are now. Like,
you said capitalism sucks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well. Wow, I take umbrage.
Yeah. I mean, I think every economic system does abuse people, and especially ours. Like, I'm very privileged, but I know that there's a lot of people under me who haven't had the same advantages, even just in my own society. And I think that...
What makes you privileged?
Oh, well, I'm white. I have money.
So what?
Yeah.
Wait. Are you downgrading the blacks or successful blacks?
No.
So
I'm treated better in the world because I'm white. I'm not discriminated against.
But why do you think that the blacks are discriminated against? If they were discriminated against...
Like, my black friends are treated worse than I am.
Well,
I don't know what this has to do with animal rights.
I don't know. We just start, all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's, nice having a discussion. Are you still at school? Did you finish school or in college?
I'm in college.
Are you in college?
Yeah.
And what's your major, if I may ask? I'm just curious.
Social justice and illustration.
Social justice? There's a course like social justice? Seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Social justice course.
Yeah,
so
and
when
I'm
you
an art
finish...
major, so.
I'm sorry, and what?
And I'm an art major Yeah.
Animal art major. Oh, did you make this thing by yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you're quite creative. And who is it? A fox?
It's a coyote.
Oh, it's a coyote. I see. But is this like? I'm not gonna tell anybody. Is it like real fur?
No, it's fabric. It's just fabric.
But you know where fabric came from?
It's plastic.
But you know where plastic came from?
A factory.
Do you know the factory got these raw materials to make plastic?
Probably from oil.
Exactly.
It's scrap fabric. Don't worry, I didn't buy anything to make this. It's all scraps.
but regardless, I mean, a lot of people they're against drilling for oil. That's why I kind of, you have to be kind of more rational person, no?
I'm trying.
You're against drilling? You're against oil? Seriously?
I'm not perfect, but I'm trying constantly to be a better person, like be a better environmentalist. Because it's not, even being vegan, it's not about being perfect. It's about making an honest effort in this world to consume consciously and to just not put out as much toxins or as much violence as we have to. Yeah.
No, I agree with that, but what does that have to do with drilling for oil? I mean, the whole world can only...
I don't know, we could go down like 400 different routes, but I don't really want to because I feel like you can go into certain detail, but it kind of misses like the point. Yeah.
So when you graduate the college, what are you gonna do with your degree?
Fuck, I hope I get a job somewhere. I don't fucking know. I don't ask me that. I don't have an answer.
Wait. But you made a conscientious, unlike an animal, by the way, you make a conscientious decision as to who you want to be, right?
Yeah.
So you picked that degree, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
So are you going to be a taxidermist?
No.
No, not.
Taxidermists work with dead animals? No.
Oh, okay. But you're in animal art.
No, I mean like art in general. I focus on
I see.
Art in general.
I see. Okay, well that's interesting. Are you also in college?
No, I'm in high school, so.
You're high school?
Yeah.
Do you know, are you gonna go to the same kind of pursue the same subject, like social justice?
We might start arms in here, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you gonna start marching?
I want to maybe hopefully start like an animal sanctuary in the future and work with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but that's all I have for now.
I see.
I'll see where it takes me.
I see. Okay. But you like going to school, right?
Yeah,
Okay. That's nice. And have you made up your mind who you want to be in the future?
No.
Probably not political scientist. I figure that out. But do you know, I mean, I'm going to pursue the same career, like social justice career, animal justice? You're still at school, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still figuring it out.
I see. So you don't know which college you're going to go to, what you're going to do with your life. But you're definitely not going to abuse animals. I'm sure about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. All right, well, good luck. I mean, abusing animals is bad, that's for sure. You never ate a hamburger in your life, did you?
I stopped when I was 15.
15. Why did you do that?
Because I don't want to hurt animals anymore. It's not fair to them.
I see. I didn't ask this lady a single question. I feel kind of embarrassed. Are you still going to college as well?
Yeah.
I mean, not as well, right? Because not everybody goes to college here. And are you also in social justice kind of major?
I'm actually in interdisciplinary science.
Uh-huh.
It's a science major, yeah.
Oh, science. I love science.
Yeah.
Speaking of science, here's kind of a tricky thing when it comes to science and animals. I'm sure you want the humans to be kind of as healthy as possible and to resist a lot of, viruses and the diseases that essentially decimated the human population, right? So, I mean, for better or for worse, we had no choice but to use animals for testing. So as a scientist, would you use animals for testing, or you would strongly object to that?
That's a good question. I mean, there are points in science, such as embryonic stem cell use, abortion, that is a topic that, that some people consider immoral for themselves, but some people consider it necessary. So
I agree. Yeah.
I think it's basically along that lines. However, testing for something such as perfume or makeup, I feel is unnecessary.
Well, I wasn't even bringing that up. I was bringing, really important fundamental question. Whose life is more important? The life of, a few animals that we use for drug testing, or the lives of, literally millions, if not tens, if not even hundreds of millions of people. I'm sure you know history a little bit, and you know that in the Middle Ages, a third of the European population was completely decimated, and a third was 100 million. Think about the number.
Yes, in the plague.
Exactly. So how do you get your...
Animal testing is a fraudulent science. 97% of the tests they do on animals.
Who told you that? Wait.
On humans.
Well,
So it's like, it
Look.
doesn't even work for us. It's not
Of course it
benefiting us
does.
further.
Of course it does.
Go
And-
do your own research because it's not true.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Have we eliminated a whole bunch of diseases, deadly, I mean very, very deadly diseases, thanks to, well, in part, animal testing? I mean, have we succeeded in doing that in just 100 years?
I know a lot of friends who work at colleges and they get grants specifically to test on animals, even though the tests are not completely necessary at all.
Yeah, but who is who?
Completely
Well,
unnecessary.
look,
In this day and age, we actually have tons of alternatives to animal testing. For example,
I'm all for it. Oh, I
they're
agree with
actually
that.
more reliable.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, once we find out, do you think I would like to use the testing on the animals?
Yeah.
Hell no, of course not. But I'm talking about the situation where, well, we have a choice of either saving millions of
Hypothetical, and I don't
humans.
really argue hypotheticals. So.
No, but these are specific experiments that were conducted on animals, which allowed us to find cure for really, really, really deadly diseases. Well, for instance, smallpox.
Okay.
To give you one example. Let's say, I'm sure typhoid. I'm sure that we found the way of curing the plague that, like I said, decimated a third of Europe.
It's true. The thing that about those testing is it wasn't just done on animals, it was also sometimes done on unconsenting people, and that's also a debate I have in my science classes. You know, it was like sometimes it was conducted on children who they, you know, thought were already sick, and we can debate that too. Like, was that moral or not? Even though it saved, you know, they conducted this testing to see if this would work on a kid. If this would work on the sick kid, would it work for everyone else? We can debate whether or not that was moral too, but
No, I'm only talking about animals versus humans. That's it. Of course, I'm not talking people. It's kind of a different story, and well, it's a different subject.
Right,
but
but it's the same-
animals versus humans. I mean,
it's the same boat. It's the should someone suffer for all people to be saved, so to speak. And no one, I mean, I don't really have the answer to whether or not one suffering is more than another, but I feel like there definitely is an unnecessary amount of suffering that goes on.
as a scientist, you well know that if we knew the answer beforehand, we wouldn't have conducted the experiments. I'm kind of scientist myself. So when it comes to the experiment, a negative result is a result. You know, this is not the path that you are taking. So when you say you tried and you failed, no, you did not fail.
Yes,
you
that's
learn
true.
that this is not the
But
right
I'm not
way.
fighting for that one test I'm not fighting against the one test that's gonna save the population, that one magic drug. There's so much testing that goes on animals, or animals are used for science in ways
That's
that
true.
are unnecessary too.
Well, but how do you know that's the point I'm trying to make. How do you know if it's necessary or not? If we knew in advance, nobody would be testing animals in the first place. We just don't know. That's what science is all about, to find the solution, to find the results.
Right.
And a lot of results, most of the results are negative until you discover this
It's
holy
true,
grail.
but you can't say there's no negligence and there's no outdatedness to it, because my professor actually, she was working in a lab. I forget what the drug they were working on was, but they were seeing how they were taking slides. They were taking little tiny slices of cat spine and examining them.
Okay.
And the machine had to cut the cat spine very small slices, and if she accidentally moved the machine slightly or the spine wrong, it would crack the spine and she wouldn't be able to take it. She would need an entire new full spine. So that's just an example. There's like so many ways that animal lives are being taken advantage of and just used frivolously. It's not just a question of, oh, if we test on these like 8 rats and figure it out, like this drug will be yes or no. There are so many ways too that animals are just their lives are being taken as less than and not even seen as lives at all, you know?
Yeah, well, like I said, here's the problem with science, because you don't know how many rats you need to use, 9 or 10, until you discover that magic drug or magic holy grail of whatever that is. But my point is that, well, I think this is kind of necessary thing that we have to understand. That's what we have to do to save humanity. I mean, would you equate human life with the animal life? I mean, are they on the same level? Or do you think that human life has more
It's really
value?
not up to me to say. I mean, I'm not the one who dictates what life is more important than the other.
Well, but we were just talking about, using animals for the advancement of human health. So, by using animals,
this society, as a society, we equate animals as less than us, but in my eyes,
we're equal.
No life is more valuable than the other.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, it was an interesting discussion, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Girls.
Have a nice day.
Okay, thanks, you too. Nice talking to you.